Emergency power activate.
Incoming once again, coming at you from the WGTD studio on the Gateway Technical College campus. I'm your host, Austin Brandt, sitting down again with Tim Williamson, my program director and manager of the EMS program here at Gateway Technical College. Tim, how you doing today?
Doing great. That was smooth.
All right.
I think,
there was still a little triple trumble on the tongue of the bed, but
See,
all right.
One more time, baby. You're just going to be just cleaned up.
Man, the WGTD comes off my tongue.
Yeah.
I literally have to slow down and concentrate on those letters. Otherwise, my personality and the caffeine really starts running with me.
You can hardly tell.
You know, today I was rolling in here on my little bit of a drive, and I started to think about something, and I wanted to get your personal opinion. And you know what? It was a conversation we had during professional development, and I promise it was not following the food. It was before the food, while we were sitting and eating.
Good food, though.
It was great. It was Qdoba.
Yeah,
It was Qdoba. I mean, if it was Chipotle, trust me, I'd know, because 99.9% of my diet consists of that.
Is that right?
Oh, man.
You got
A Chipotle bowl?
Yeah.
Ooh, I get some mean rice in there, some pinto beans, toss in some chicken, and you know what? I'm propelled not only through, the gas that's coming out the end, because obviously, those wonderful beans, magical fruit. My partner doesn't like them too much on the ambulance, but I'll tell you what. A Chipotle bowl, you get whatever you need in that, right?
What do you get in there?
Oh, that's
the rice and
like I said, I just go.
You're pretty good on your diets, right?
I try to stick really clean on my diet, but that's that go-to. I'm a mess eater, right? Born and raised in the old firehouse, so you just throw everything into a bowl, and as soon as those tones go out, I got 3, 2, 1, power in the face.
Plus, you can walk to it. You're in a hurry, but you can probably get a few more scoops.
You go down those stairs, you can get a couple scoops
in there.
That's right.
You had that one spot you put yours versus your partner.
That's right. Right next to the MRSA popcorn, you're set to go, right?
Right next
to try to keep it covered, but whatever, C. diff's floating in from the area.
Well.
But I was, we were having this conversation, and I thought, man, we're a bunch of weirdos, because I'm looking around over my right and left shoulder, and I'm seeing other faculty members, picking up cues from our conversation as me and you are, having this wonderful debate back and forth. I'm like, man, I remember this one call I went on as we're, eating food, and we're, talking about these different
so
things.
It was our School of Protective Services. Let's paint the background a little bit.
Right.
So, School of Protective Services are in service, and it was me, you, Gary Lair, Bernadette O'Connell, Dave Kostolki, all nurses, paramedics that have been in forever, so it's way longer than us.
That's right,
too. Yeah, because, man.
A lot of experience at that table.
They've been doing it for 20 years plus, but hearing some of their stories was amazing.
That conversation was awesome.
And we will have them on the podcast.
It was back and forth. I mean, it was a real tennis back and forth of volley of oh man, this one time. But I remember, again, like I said, we're a rare breed. As I'm looking around, and we're just enjoying these Qdoba bowls. You got Chipotle on my mind now. I know where I'm stopping the way home. But you got these bowls as we're shoveling down, and I'm looking around, and I realize most people don't have these conversations while they're eating, and it doesn't even uptick on my registration of oh, this is abnormal that we're talking about, the worst rectal bleed we've ever seen, pre-hospitally or whatever. And that brings me into, hey, Tim, what does it for you? Because I know for me, I'll tell you right off the bat, I think to myself, I've really exercised my abs 2 or 3 times in the pre-hospital setting. I'm talking about that power gag, where where you have the patient or you get the certain smell. So this podcast brought to you by our brand new sponsor, exhaust fans and air fresheners. Because every paramedic out there loves those two. I'll tell you that right now. You'll flip on that exhaust fan with that patient, and all of a sudden it's woo in the back, but does it really do anything, Tim? I mean,
no. I learned the art of really blasting the AC or the side window open.
You really try. My
well.
favorite, I'll try to put a NFP, N95, mask on if I can, and try to put a little air freshener or something on there. But I mean, for me in the pre-hospital setting, it really isn't things. Things don't really bother me too much. It's the smell, and that's what I was going to get kind of your opinion on. How do you combat that? Right? Is there anything you can do in those moments?
Yeah, and it's even, and you're right. It's kind of funny. Just one quick step back. Even the fact of just dealing with everyday people, you gotta catch yourself.
Right, you do.
And even our paramedic students, you start to see them start to kind of gain that way of talking. I get, in lack of better terms, I don't know how to describe it, but you got to really be aware of it.
Oh, for sure.
The way we talk is very different than
you got to have some tact.
That's right. There you go.
That's right. You got to make sure you're saying the right thing.
Yeah.
And not always what's on your mind, but the right thing for the right moment.
Yeah. And going to the smells, obviously, let's clarify that we're not. We're also patient care centered. Obviously, we keep saying it here, but
that's why I'm
every
asking
once
you.
In a while, there's something that years into service, or even whatever, where you just get that one thing that no matter where it is or what it is, it's a part of your brain, in your
That's
brain
right.
where you just catch yourself just gagging and so
I find it pretty funny, but that's why I asked you. I mean, because it's not like we're playing Nintendo, where you can like hang on, pause for a quick second,
for a
or could I
second.
get a mulligan on this,
Yeah.
this call here? You're right, patient care
patient care is
continues.
number one, yeah.
So like, there's been multiple times, and I think this is why my brain was thinking about it. Like for me, trachs. You give me a clogged trach, a bad stoma, some
Right.
lung butter coming up, a couple 1-2 coughs, and I'm on my knee, power gagging in the corner, right? Like, there's nothing I'm going to be able to do. So I know that coming into it.
So what do you do? So this is what I do.
Yeah.
For me, and not to get too graphic here, but it's old stale urine.
Oh,
and,
man, that'll get
I don't
you.
know if you ever encountered that in the EMS world because it's every call almost. And obviously patient care first, but gum.
Yep.
And then
Absolutely.
I always carried a little Visine, or not Visine, but
Vicks Vaporub.
Vicks,
See,
if it's bad enough.
I was gonna say I've only done that once, Tim.
Yeah.
I've only done Vicks once.
It's great.
And the only reason why I did that and why I reversed that and don't do it anymore, it was because it was on the same type of patient. Patient had chest pain, big gigantic gentleman, and so where do we go with this one? Well, he's from Wisconsin. Everybody here in Wisconsin is Wisconsin skinny, 10 to 2,400 pounds overweight, and so this big giant gentleman. I'm trying to paint this picture for you. He's got a little bit of hair on his chest. And I'm like, I'll just deal with this smell. I'll just quick over my nose, throw some Vicks there. Well, little do I know, I need to put a 12 lead on this patient because they have chest pain, and he's got a massive forest of hair on his chest. I give it a little whack with the razor back and forth. Guess what I'm wearing now? I was clean shaven, Tim.
Oh, no way.
Not anymore.
It went up to
That's
your-
his chest hair
No
stuck
way.
underneath my nose.
Well, let me ask you this: what do you say you have a razor? Like, do you have a razor or a
Like
trimmer?
like the trimmer, like the electric trimmer for the
Oh,
spots.
really?
Yeah, and
See,
it just went.
we had the disposable razor, so you never had that issue.
See, like when you have those,
No,
like
I know
in the
what you're
hospital,
saying.
they have those razor, like the back edge of like almost like a Bic razor.
Yeah,
kinda.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I never had really good luck with those, and I would end up like giving you a quick raspberry all over your chest.
Well,
so
yeah,
I just
no,
quick
they're uncomfortable. Yeah,
so I just
especially
do
for the
quick,
poor patients.
And it's,
Yeah.
like the what is it, the AHA guidelines of like if your pads don't stick,
Rip 'em off.
Every student always responds to that, but then you got to remind them like, hey, remember why we're putting these pads on this patient here
Yeah.
at CPR class? They're not going to feel you wax their
No.
chest, but
well, and I'm sure AHA. For me, I don't know. I've never met somebody. I know we're all over the place.
Yeah, sorry.
Whatever. But those things stick. I've
They
never had
stick.
problem. I think it says to press down again. I think that usually is the issue.
Well,
Usually you don't press it hard
I mean,
enough.
come on, hit it with like one quick towel over the top.
Or even that. Yeah.
They work so well.
Yeah,
Honestly,
it's
this
like
is-
rat glue.
Yeah, I mean, this is the advice I give. Obviously, I lead with like, listen, if we have a penetrating or sucking chest wound,
Right.
penetrating you're going to hold in place unless it affects with or affects your ability to provide compressions. But I'm talking about like if you have a sucking chest wound and you're up, creek without a paddle, and you need to control this in your defibrillator. You have usually, if you're a good agency, 2 sets of pads, right?
Well,
Adult and peds.
Which is an agency, but what about even just the ones out and about in this?
Right, yeah. You can, just go grab that out of there. And the reason I'm saying this, though,
Right.
the 2 sets, if that patient codes, you kind
Right.
of want to make sure you have another one, right? So you usually throw those peds ones on, but that's why I suggest that, because they stick so well.
Yeah.
But back to stinky poo-poo.
Yes.
For me, I think, just dealing with that. And honestly, it is laughable, but we are dealing with humans. We're
Right.
dealing with
Yeah.
emergency circumstances.
Right.
And not always, it's the only career field in the world where they call 911 and they're not, your patient doesn't run in the restroom and do their makeup quick and clean their
Right,
house
right,
before.
right.
I mean, some patients do, but
Some patients.
most often you walk in and it's 3 o'clock in the morning and there's this massive amount of trust that you've built up. So, hey, how do I can't just stop and say like, hey, I can't handle this.
Well, that's why we teach. That's why we teach our students this too. Is that we can't. It's not their fault.
Right.
It's never the patient's fault. right?
Absolutely.
And we have to remember that and treat these people with dignity. Yes, it does smell, of course.
Absolutely.
And you got to try to find ways, and you got to remember you're the last resort. You got to be the ones that take care of these people. But treating them with dignity. If they're nude or whatever, we always make sure they're warm, cover the blankets
Discretion,
up,
absolutely.
discretion and stuff. But yeah,
That matches
sometimes
that
there's
acuity, though. That matches acuity, right? Like if
Absolutely.
you're super, super sick, sorry, you might lay there naked for a little bit
Yeah.
as I'm trying to fix your arm
Oh,
that's,
sure.
like
You're
spraying
talking-
a hemorrhage
yeah,
everywhere.
yeah, yeah.
I think I'm also mentioning, like, as I rolled up, I mean, for real, if I, BDDDD, rescue 32, we need you to respond to X, Y, and Z address for a 42-year-old male patient, chief complaint, difficulty breathing. And then I'm, rolling in there, and as I'm looking at my CAD notes, I see like, patient with, like 2-week-old infected stoma. I might be like, hey, Tim, guess what?
Guess what you're doing? That's smart, though.
It's
that
just
is
communicating
smart.
out the front rather than being like, okay, I'm going to swallow this.
Yeah.
I'm going to be, Mr. Macho as I walk in. And as I'm trying to talk to the patient, like, hey, it's not going well, right?
Well, and that's the best part about EMS too, is the fact that if we've been working together, I already know that.
Right.
I already know you're grossed out by that.
We are on that team.
I got you.
You might give me a couple ribbons on the way.
Well, I'm going to give it to you later.
Right.
Yeah, we're gonna rock and roll then, but. Really, knowing each other and being team players.
So I think actually this conversation, how it got started at the table, was I was referencing, overeating. Like getting those calls where you're eating, some food or whatever else, and the tones go out, and you're like in this hot dilemma of like, do I try to stuff my face with the remaining food, or do I, just cut my loss? And I remember one of my first structure fires that I responded to as I was an intern was directly on the day that the female soccer team went to the World Cup and was playing Japan, I believe.
Yeah, rock and roll.
And I remember I just ate so much pasta, and then we got this massive fire call.
Oh yeah, we talked about
we
this,
talked about that. I'm like running down the stairs, and I'm like, do I? Yep, got to hit that ejection button. Why? Because I'm not about to throw a fire mask on my face, run into a fire, and like have the potential of seeing what I ate for lunch.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with doing a quick purge,
that's
but
right,
just make sure you make it
hit
quick.
That eject button real fast.
Bring a garbage can with you with a paper with a sack in it. And
so after we just talked about having those Chipotle bowls, like Tim, is there a go-to that you like to eat at the station? Something that kind of
I always try to I don't know if you ask the guys and gals I used to work with, but I always was weird. My lunches or my breakfasts, I'd eat salads.
All right.
I don't know, just at the station, and I usually try to keep it light for the afternoon, but we usually went pretty heavy for at nighttime.
Oh, that doesn't sound like
it wasn't necessarily the smartest thing ever, but yeah, it's usually was some sort of pasta or it depends on who was
good
cooking.
Food. I mean, you won't go hungry in the firehouse, right?
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
And I try to, any suggestions that I give, right, because I'm not a nutritionist, I don't have a background in that, but I do try to eat healthy, and I was extremely obese at one point, and how I got here was, man, I used to be 268 pounds, man, coming out of
way.
Oh, I was
really?
luck. Yeah.
What changed, man?
Yeah, I didn't want to be that way anymore. And for real, like you woke up one day, and I'm like, man, let's fix this. Bunch of hard work, a little bit of self-deprecation, and, like personal fat shaming. And you're like, hey, eat better. And you get to here, and I'm not saying I'm like crazy wherever, but the point of this isn't like pat myself on the back by any means. What this is like, hey, I thought good food would be like, I'm only eating McDonald's, or I'll eat that wrap from McDonald's this week. You know what I mean? Or like, hey, I'm gonna have a diet Pepsi, or one of these things. And really, if you just take a look, just to look a little bit into the nutrition, eating well in the firehouse, you can have those awesome meals where everybody's involved. We're all cooking, we're cranking. You can cook a good, clean, healthy burger, but you can do it the right way. And I guess why that concerns me is because like we still have a bunch of cardiovascular problems, right?
Yeah.
Or, at least heart attacks, high cholesterol, hypertension. All these things exist in our career field, mixed with a bunch of stress, mixed with sleep deprivation.
I mean,
so it's this huge cultivation, or this massive like pile of things that are weighed against us.
Yeah.
How do we combat that? I don't know, like right after a shift, maybe have that. I mean, you might be battling the best thing, like, hey, start the day off with some greens.
Yeah.
Like you set a precedent.
I always used to just eat, how you felt afterwards, right?
Yeah.
And it's so easy to set. But however, I'd always cheat. Like, let's say it's lunch and I have a nice clean salad made, and then when tones drop and you don't get back till 2.
Sure.
Then I'm starving, and then so
you made a really good point
just
there,
trying to, like you said, and I'm trying to do that myself right now. So like even. I started. I'm not used to sitting as much. Usually coming from the pre-hospital, always moving around. So I've been doing the prolonged fasting. And I'm down like 10 already, and I've been working out more and stuff. But
clarity,
it's just clearing off.
I think that's. I mean, for actually,
and you just got to adjust accordingly.
For
I'm not
a while,
saying I'm the best, but
that's one of those things that I attempted. And it's like dipping your toes. Dip it into what water you feel is like, and then honestly, it might feel a little cool. Just jump. Be committed, consistency, and if you're eating good leafy greens, some high quality food, you can't go wrong. You really can't.
I don't want to spoil what you and I are working on with the working out stuff,
That's
and I'll
right.
leave it at that. However, since we're college, so what, how does an intern, how does our EMT, AMT, and paramedic interns go into shifts? Because, for those not familiar with the EMS world, our paramedic students are going to be out there riding for many, many hours. They're going to do clinical
Absolutely.
settings, weird hours of the day.
While working with
While
families,
working full-time with
juggle,
families. Yeah,
juggle.
you
Yep.
name it. Their time is literally
Absolutely.
7 days a week. They're busy. Let's say they can't work out. We also need to probably teach that a little bit. At least something where they can understand, like, okay.
I think it's an awareness thing, Tim. Like the idea of just putting a box into it already, right? You said you're just describing and listening to your words of they have a lot of paramedic students have a lot of time that they're taking up, right? And so even with medical school or paramedicine, these things are very time consuming.
Right.
Not the most difficult thing you've ever done, and maybe it is. Maybe encountering that time management is the most difficult thing for you. But you know what? With that, again, Jocko Willink, with discipline equals freedom. If you're disciplined about your time management, you can make time to work out, and it doesn't need to be an hour.
But
it doesn't need to be 4 hours. It doesn't need to be 16 minutes of pre-work, and it can just be something dirty to get your heart rate up, make you sweat.
Yeah.
And I think a really important thing to follow up on that is there's lots and lots of documentation. You know what? I'll be happy to follow this up and bring in statistics for you, but with minimal sleep or with lack of sleep, especially in the pre-hospital setting, it directly correlates to increase in caloric intake as well as crappier foods. You want to, you have these desires, you have these urges to go out and stuff your face with a fat burger.
It's easy.
Whatever it
Especially
is.
because you're busy and you just don't feel like cooking something.
Well, that's what it is. Pathway resistance.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough, dude.
And I am guilty as charged. Again, thank goodness I found Chipotle. Because, when I walk in, they look at me and go, "Oh, you here again?" And I'm like, "Thanks, man."
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting
this guy with the mustache. Can we talk about that for real quick?
That's right.
Can we talk about for those of you who can't see it?
This is a real mustache on my face,
it's not bad. I can't tell if I like it or I dislike it.
You know what, Tim? I sneezed twice, and all of a sudden, all my other facial hair fell off.
Okay.
I had to stick
well,
with it.
you shaved it. You had what you got going on now, which is clean. It's like a 5 o'clock shower. It's good.
Yeah.
But your stash you were rocking just a solid stash. It's not bad.
I like to think of it as a power stash. You
Is that
know,
what that
like some
is?
people feel like they have a power move by bringing in glasses or something like that. I got a power stash, so I walk in a room, give you a little upper lip
What's
wiggle.
the,
and all this things are shaking and moving.
What's everyone else think about that?
I don't ask opinions.
Oh.
Children run away. Apparently, I've been banned from parks and stuff like that. I don't know why. I don't know. But, I think
that's a joke, just so everybody knows.
I can definitely go in parks, folks.
Yeah, we do background checks on all our employees. He is good.
But, I think for myself, one thing that's stigmatized, I think, definitely in the pre-hospital setting, and I want to get your opinion on this, is sleep.
Yeah.
And I think not even in that, just like in any type of, high stress environment or even America in general, right?
Yeah.
That's one thing that we tend to lead with. Like, I only got 4 hours of sleep last night, Tim.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a badge of courage, right? Like,
Kinda.
up all night running calls,
Yeah.
I can run on 2 hours of sleep. You're sleeping in?
It's, what are you asking?
Well, my question is like when people ask, right? What would be your reaction when you hear like, "Hey, everything's done on shift, right? We got all of our administrative stuff done,
Right.
rigs checked off. It's
Right.
2:00 now," and someone tells you, "I'm heading off for a safety nap." You know what I
See,
mean?
I'm
Like,
the wrong guy I don't know if I'm the wrong guy to ask or not because I believed in safety
That's
nets.
what I'm saying.
And every department's different, every agency's different, and people. There are some people that can do well on 4 hours.
For
sleep.
sure.
I've always in place I worked before here was always pro. As long as it's not ridiculous. I'm not up all night the night before just because I know I can get a safety nap.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No.
You got to come into work prepared. However, if you're feeling tired because you've been running all morning or
Right.
something, and you do have some downtime and everything's done, to take a quick nap because the way you always know how days are going.
Well, you can feel that. You can almost put your finger to the pulse, right? It's a full moon. We got this big festival going on here.
Yep.
It's been quiet all morning.
Oh, absolutely.
Type of thing, right?
Yeah, it's the way it's
I'm
going to go.
I think I'm giving the conversation a good look too, because I think just having that conversation, having the ability to say like, yes, if you're doing everything right, you're sleeping in or not sleeping in, but getting a good quality 8, maybe plus hours sleep every night consistently. Woo. I think it'll pay off long term for your career. Because I think if you want to have 20-ish years or do this as a career,
right,
long term, you just said
like
you could do well on 4 hours. Me and you, I mean, yeah, savagely, I can do well.
I do terrible
for 20
on 4
minutes
hours.
on 4 hours. I'm like a little hummingbird,
See,
I need my
weird.
beauty rest. But if I come back and I'm like ticking at this high level, right, and then all of a sudden I only get 4 hours of sleep, like I can have that output for about maybe 20 minutes.
Okay.
But then my productivity is down.
Yeah.
I'm not, the words aren't coming to my head clearly. I'm not able to lecture. I just think that for the long term, if you're in EMS, fire, protective services globally, right? We need to concentrate on sleep. But that's why you have the 1 on, 2 off, 1 on, 1 off schedule.
I'm so glad you said that. Yeah, because I totally agree. I tried to make it a habit to not ever think I was guaranteed sleep.
Right.
If you can get it while you can, great.
It's a hot commodity.
However, if you don't, that's really what the next day is supposed to be for.
Correct.
And it's rightfully so. I remember sleeping. I would always have to take naps because your sleep schedule's so off.
Absolutely.
Since taking this role, I'm now I get to sleep in my own bed and I wake up, sleep in the back. I'm never tired during the day. Like even right now, it's just it's speaking from experience. It's just realize how much I didn't sleep because I wanted to do stuff. And what do most paramedics and fire people do when on their days off? They work extra.
I was just going to ask you.
And they do all that stuff, and which is great, and I get it, especially with, unfortunately, EMS and fire doesn't pay, in my opinion, as much as it should.
Right.
So you got to do what you got to do.
You got to make that. But
you really got to look at your sleep.
That was another. I mean, talking about we've talked about mindset and having a good mindset on things like that, especially in the pre-hospital setting. And there's one topic that I discuss with my students is this is the only career field, right? I mean, truly, it's the only career field where you're like, okay, let's on average. I know statistics can vary, but let's just say on average you work 9 24-hour shifts a month.
Okay.
Ish. That's give or take.
Yeah.
As a full-time career firefighter paramedic, 9 24-hour shifts a month.
Yeah.
That's awesome. To a lot of people, that's like,
that's
that's
great.
a great.
It has its pros and cons.
It is.
Yeah.
Now let's imagine though, those 9 shifts you are just getting dominated, pounded with calls, right, nonstop. I believe, and it's kind of true, this is the only career field where you buy your own burnout. You earn it, right? Because those 9 24-hour shifts, and if you're a responsible paramedic, like you're saying, and you're taking your naps, you're getting caught up on your sleep, you're not going out and raging and partying on those off days.
Right.
That's a healthy way to live, right? That's a healthy way to make sure that you're squared away. Whereas, a lot of firefighters, a lot of paramedics, there's that overtime shift.
Yeah.
So I'll just work a quick 48, right? So the amount of calls that we get in those 9 24-hour shifts, absolutely. We decompress, we managed appropriately because that's a decent amount of shifts, but then you start sprinkling more, and what do you get? If you're working, you're getting exposure to patients, calls, stress. So you're just kind of adding that onto yourself. So I think one of the tools, right? Just trying to give you a Swiss Army knife things here. A tool I think we can use is maybe those safety naps. At least even just have a conversation, or how can we set ourselves up? What do you do when you really want to get a deep sleep, Tim? Like, is there a kind of a way, or are you just a pillow to head? You're out.
I mean, one of those guys. Once I'm down, I'm down.
Yeah.
I've always been like that. I've been lucky. But for me, and of course now it's easy because I go to bed at the exact same time. I wake up at the exact same time. Literally, my body's like, all right, you're done.
Right.
And so
we're checking
out. But
again,
it's tough with the fire setting, or or EMS. We kind of relate to fire, but private ambulance paramedics, all those, they just work weird shifts. It's rough. And regularity if you can, but I don't know, just making sure you're taking care of your body on the off time is probably the
allow that
one.
Unplug, right? I feel
and
like
not go raging, which a lot of unfortunately.
I think especially on shift, it's extremely difficult for me. I'm just a wee bit of an anxious person sometimes. I'm an if guy, so if I put one if in my brain, there goes my night of sleep, because now I'm sitting there thinking, oh man, I will think forever. And I mean, not saying it's intelligent thoughts, right? Like it's deep. I'm just saying I'm thinking, okay? Like, did that goldfish look at me, and did he have a thought? Maybe, I don't know.
What did I say to that goldfish? Why is he so mad at me?
Right. He won't talk back.
Talk back.
But the point that I'm getting to is, like for me, I really try to make a process of it, right? Especially when I want to get quality sleep, I'll make sure to maybe have a positive mindset, read something funny, give myself phone off about 30 minutes before bed. I plug it in. I'm not one to not use alarms and stuff like that on my phone, but I set those and set it and forget it. Now I have some good deep conversation with someone, maybe lighthearted or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm turning my brain off. And I have my alarm right next to my bed, this has really helped, is instead of your fire tones, and we were talking about this too, like how do we most of our previously, how did all the paging happen in the fire and
Just
EMS? It was
screaming.
just punch to the face.
Wake up right now!
Rescue one! Yeah! And all of a sudden your heart rate's 400 beats per minute.
Well,
you
it
know,
goes
like,
60 to like 140 in like literally a second, and
you're like shaking.
You're trying to figure out where you're at, where you put your pants, your boots at.
That's right. That's right.
Yep.
And to me, I think like, all right, you already have to deal with that. So just decompressing before your head hits that pillow, maybe take a couple seconds. There's a lot of really good mindset apps out there, and I know people, tend to roll your eyes when I say this, but like meditation. Honestly, clearing your head, even acknowledging what those thoughts might be. You have no idea. Like, sure, that goldfish might swim into your brain, but hey, look at it, acknowledge it, set it over here, and now clear that room.
You really do.
All of a sudden, you're clearing that headspace for deep, well-rested sleep, which your body needs.
Meditation also means a lot of different ways. There's a lot of forms of it. So
Absolutely.
And finally, on at least that is just making sure your home life's good too. If you can, making sure that's locked up if you can, because no one's sleeping if you're.
That's right.
If,
all facets.
Your significant other is upset, or if you got something going on at home, family member, that also you're worried about that. Locking that up, having a good as best you can.
That's right.
Home life always helps too.
Work shouldn't be the release for you, right? You shouldn't be,
you shouldn't go to work because you're not at
escaping
home.
something else. Like
a lot of people do.
Oh,
a lot of people do. They look forward to the shifts because guess where it's not at.
I'll take the double.
I'll take the double.
I'll take that overtime.
By the way, I'm working OT, 48 hours.
I just can't. They forced me again.
I can't. It's not up to me. Talk to Chief. But. No, that's a good point, man.
So some exciting things happening here at Gateway, and our new paramedic program is really hitting the streets. It's up and running. We have a lot of students showing up, ready to learn. Bernadette's in the classroom already right now, getting after it. So
when are you rock and rolling? You're on deck.
Yep, that's right in the batter's box. I have September 11th is our first class date.
Awesome.
Started up. Yep.
What do you? Which one is that?
We are starting with pharmacology. Yep, advanced pharmacology. So
you excited?
I am. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're ready for me, but if they're not, catch up.
Ready.
Here we go. We're starting hot.
They seem like a crack bunch.
Oh man, they're a really good group of students. So look for our next couple of episodes being available to you. We're gonna keep uploading them to all the Spotify, Apple Podcast, anywhere you can find that purple. I keep saying the purple Apple Podcast app. That's what it is on mine. It's purple.
Is it? That's interesting.
It's like the little podcast app. You can click on that, search the call on there, and subscribe. Shoot us a rate and like if you would like. Make sure where you can get the word out there to everybody else and network and try to get many ears on us as possible, because we're spreading some good words on how to do better in the EMS setting here.
And if you're wanting to come on, shoot EMS podcasting at gtc.edu. We can talk about that.
Yeah,
as a
questions
guest.
and fans, or if you want to come in as a guest. Like I said, we kind of hinted at growth and advanced education, so we might have a couple guests coming up here on how to continually get better as far as, once you pass your paramedic certification, how can I stay up on things and data and trends. So once again, we're coming from the WGTD studio. I'm Austin Brandt.
I'm Tim Williamson.
Thank you so much. Look forward to having you on next time. Can't wait. Get better.